I've seen a lot of that on social media that Oklahoma just needs to move away from Spencer Rattler and go with Caleb Williams. I could not be further from the truth. I mean, yes, he made some bad decisions. Let's understand that. And yes, but he was still 30 of 39 for one. Number two, um, he threw the ball in the coverage. He was floating back a little bit, but Caleb Williams has still yet to throw a collegiate pass. So let's let. I mean, I think all of us were on the Spencer Rattler bandwagon, and he was a Heisman favorite. He was going to be a number one pick, or at least a top five pick, and he has one bad game. And so let's let it play out. If this is consistently what we see this year out of Spencer Rattler, but then maybe there's a different question, or maybe it's a different discussion at that point. But but I think it's something that we shouldn't worry too heavily about. I fully expect him to improve and get much better. Track record, or if you have a history, for these first few games, and if Rattler continues to struggle and make bad decisions, and all that, then maybe you look at that. But I think right now, then it's a no brainer that Spencer Rattler is your quarterback, and he's not really, it's not really one of those. It's not really one of those situations where Oklahoma's even entertaining any kind of change. It'll be Caleb Williams' team next year, but I think as the season goes on, I think a lot of people will realize how much Rattler has improved, and he will. It'll be a much better performance next week, and I expect the rest of the year as well. I don't know necessarily if it was worse than. I think it was worse than Tulane, but he had those two quick interceptions early on, and he came back and played well after that. So yeah, I don't know if that's I don't know if I would say if it was worse or better, and whatever. But in terms of equal defense, I think Tulane and Texas Tech are probably on the same level. But again, I think that's the thing. Let's not overreact too much to one game. So that's where I'll challenge us just a little bit as we're thinking about this. And I know I never dreamed that Oklahoma would give up 35 points in this game. My thought was if Oklahoma gives up more than about 17 points, I think there's some concern about the defense. Not time to give up, but some concern. And the fact that they gave up 35 is deeply concerning. However, it's nothing. Again, as I mentioned earlier, I don't think it's anything that that Oklahoma fans think that it's not correctable. It's something that's absolutely correctable, and I think they can correct it. It's just if you guys watched the Kansas State game last year, you remember in that game how they had receivers. Kansas State had receivers just running wide open throughout the game, and it was very similar here, and they got that corrected. So I think these are things that will get corrected, and I say that to say Kyler's standard is enough. I think that standard, that Baker Mayfield standard, you can't get much better than what they put together. So, I don't know if Oklahoma's in a position where, you're averaging, and obviously I know they had 40 points, so they're not quite 50, but, in that era, I think Kyler's team averaged about 49 points a game. I know that some of those Baker teams averaging like 46, 47 points a game. If Oklahoma can't win a national championship scoring 47, 49 points a game, then they're not going to win one. I mean, that's just the bottom line. If they can't get to a position where they can consistently play better defense, then they're just not going to win. They're not going to win a national championship. They may not have the players to do so. Now, like I said, that remains to be seen. We'll see how this goes the rest of the year. If they give up 24, 28 points against Nebraska, then now we're saying this is more of a trend than just kind of an anomaly of one game. Like I never overreact too much on the very first game, on a high or on a low. So I think one thing to remember is I believe it was the 2009 season where one of the 2008, I should say, one of the most impressive opening games, and this was, I believe this is Sam Bradford's freshman year. 2007, when Oklahoma beat North Texas, I think something to the tune of 79-10 to begin the season, and I think we looked at that and said that man, that was one of the most impressive opening game performances that we've ever seen. That team went on to lose a couple of games in the regular season. They did win a Big 12 championship, but they lost a game to Colorado and struggled against Iowa State. So that's a team that struggled, later in the season. So I think if Oklahoma was to struggle, you would like to see it in this game, and then they can move forward.